Welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm sitting down with Jarvis for a real conversation about life lately, from rising costs and everyday struggles to fear, staying calm under pressure, and what it means to use your voice when things feel uncertain. We talk about politics, honesty, speaking up, and why sometimes the biggest changes start with ordinary people saying what's on their mind. Whether you agree or disagree, this one is honest, unfiltered, and definitely a conversation worth having. Hey, Jarvis.
Hello, Henry. How are you doing?
Today? I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing peachy as always. Just a casual Sunday. Just ready for tomorrow. Back to work day.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned not feeling like you're in a very different place right now than you were the last time we chatted. What feels the same to you?
Just everything with gas prices, being at $4 a gallon, and grocery prices remaining the same. Same thing with the economy being such a shit show. It's just nothing's really changed. Now, I want to say that the one thing that has slightly changed a little bit is how much I'm having to fill up on my gas tank. So that's another scenario with that one. But everything else has been the same as far as everything else socially and all that business. Hopefully that'll change. Okay.
You mentioned gas prices are starting to affect you. How has that changed how you think about money or daily life?
Well, I'll put it this way. It is stretching a little bit more so than it did on our last podcast. It's taken me 10 extra dollars to fill up my gas tank. As a matter of fact, it took $30 to fill up on my gas tank on Friday. And so whenever I do have a little bit of things planned out, not like $10 means a lot, but it does mean a little bit as far as just getting the essentials. I mean, that $10 can kind of stretch it a little bit. But the tank of gas that I put in, $30 is, I mean, it's going to get worse if nothing's changing. So I had to make some amends, to my driving. Even like I go to work and I come home, I go to the gym. But as far as trying to go the extra distance to meet somebody, right now it's just not going to happen because I have to pull back. I have to pull back on certain things like that.
Right. Have there been moments recently where you've thought, okay, things are getting really expensive?
Hmm.
Yeah. And what do you
Yeah.
cut back on first?
Well, I just had to cut back on driving out because there was a time before gas prices were $4 a gallon. So gas prices were like about 250, maybe at the ballpark, 245, 230, and I could fill up my gas tank on less than $20. And I could go from point A to point B. I could travel. But now, since gas prices are around $4 a gallon, it's kind of pushing to the limit. Like I said, extra $10, extra $15, that really does make a difference. It makes a difference um in how I'm able to just, get the basic essentials. So I just have to do what I have to do until then, unfortunately.
Right. I feel the same way. I canceled plans with somebody that lives in a suburb of Austin that's like 45 minutes away
Mhm.
because of the gas prices. I was like, yeah, no.
It sucks. It really sucks.
You mentioned something surprising happened recently. A snake was outside your apartment. Walk me through that.
So I came back from a soccer game on Saturday night, and I had my food was already at the house, so I didn't have to go and spend an extra 30 minutes being out. So, um, as as soon as I got to my apartment, I noticed that something black was outside my door, and I kept looking at it. I was like, "Oh my god! It's like that is a snake! Oh my god!"
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god, that shocked me because look, I had never ever seen a snake in person. So the last time that I've even been around a snake, it was at my friend's apartment many years ago, and even then I was not going to touch that yellow thing, that python that was in his aquarium. I was not going to touch that. So, yeah, um just imagine being in my shoes that you had never actually had to be up close and personal to a snake, and then you stumble in darkness, and that thing is literally like right there facing you. But um, I had to keep my distance. I had to kind of keep myself calm. I kind of approached to my
Yeah,
door. Thankfully, I got
what
in.
was your first reaction? Did you freak out?
I freaked out. I didn't scream, but I did not scream on this one. I was just so shocked. You know, like how you get into a state of shock? Like something happens and you don't really do anything. You just stare, you stand, and you kind of wonder, is this real life?
Yeah.
That was my reaction, Henry. That was my whole reaction. When I saw that snake, look, I took out those keys. I said, okay, all right, okay, let me just get to the door. I unlocked the door. I lightly locked the door. I lightly unlocked the door, and I had to step on each step, and I got in. I did not slam the door. I just closed it. And I had to keep a check out my door to see if it was still outside. And I checked about like an hour later, it was gone. But that was just so scary because snakes are, I mean, it's around here, just never seen it in person like that. That shocked the
Well,
crap out of me.
why do you think staying calm matters in moments like that?
It's really about overcoming fear, in my personal opinion. Um, some people have that um, ability, to it's more like a fight or flight response. That's the way I look at um, being calm versus are you going to react and are you going to overcome that fear and overcome that obstacle. So that's how I was able to stay calm. Just um, think about what I would want to do in that situation. It's life or death because I didn't really know what kind of snake it was. They could have been a cobra for all it matters, and it could have bit me, and I could have been in the hospital. But
Honey,
I had to keep
cobras don't
myself
live in
calm.
North America, but luckily, um, you said that overcoming fear means staying calm. Where do you think you learned that?
I it's just more of um, I could tell you like a little short story, but I'm not going to really run on with it too much. So many years ago, I went to a bar and a guy approached me and we had a conversation. And so we had a conversation for 2 hours, a little bit about everything. So
Oh,
he
wow.
asked me to give him some money to drop him off at a hotel so he can stay the night. And so, being the gullible person that I was very nice. And I offered him a ride to the hotel. And he told me that he was needing to go to the check-in to get with his friend so that he could get his room. So by the time that he got back, he pulled a knife on me. And at the time, I
Wow.
was freaking out. I was really freaking out. And that was one of those moments that I had to kind of respond because I didn't know what he was going to do to me. And so, I guess reflecting back at that part, I had to understand that in certain situations that um, it requires patience, and I guess it does require some kind of reaction response when something dangerous is looming. Like you have to just keep a very calm presence. But that's a human in all of us. You know, we are going to react certain ways, and that's really the only way I was able to proceed on my calmness is um, just react in that way and not hyperventilate, um, not feel like, okay, I'm going to die, type thing. It's just a human reaction. It's really hard to explain, but it's just the way I was able to learn from that.
Do you think that fear stops people from speaking up, trying things, or changing their lives?
That is a really good question. Um, I think in a way that fear does disable. It actually does affect a person's ability to speak up on certain things. Just like an example, with coming out to people and how they are able, how they are going to be able to react. If a person is going to, either say something homophobic to them, or people get a reaction off of how a person um, reacts, to stuff like that. It's fear is fear is something that it can be a teaching moment. In my personal opinion, I just use that as an example. Like I said, it's a really interesting question that you proposed. So yeah, I really feel like fear can sometimes um, make people not be comfortable with doing something that I guess they're not used to, or I guess they expect the total opposite. Yes.
Do you think courage is not being scared or being scared and acting anyway?
Courage is courage is really just being confident in yourself. I think it takes a lot to overcome obstacles, whether or not you adjust to um, what's in front of you. It really takes confidence, and it just takes a lot of mental. I mean, it's a mental capacity type thing. You can be physically confident, you can look good, but are you able to mentally prepare for something that is either going to be an obstacle, or if it's going to be a victory lap? You just that's the way I look at courage. You keep pushing.
By the way, what kind of snake was it?
So I looked at my phone, and it was a rat snake.
Oh,
I
okay.
thought I saw a garter snake, but
Yeah,
it was
those
more
are
like a
the
rat
ones that
snake.
like to eat eggs. As I was telling you yesterday, rat snakes, I think, are the ones that love eggs. I have seen one of those one time. When I lived in the cottage, I was sitting outside and there was a huge, huge one wrapped around the palm tree outside my
Oh my
bedroom
gosh.
window. Yeah, they love to eat eggs. They're great though because they eat rats, so they're good to have around. That means that you're not going to have a rat problem anytime soon. So,
Well, thankfully there is a diet that they go off of. They don't have to eat humans. They don't they I mean yeah, I'm just happy that is their diet, because could you imagine like a snake was a dinosaur and it would just swallow that person alive? Like, can you just imagine what kind of a world we would be in if it was that?
well, I mean, there are like dragons, but
Mm-hmm.
there's like Komodo dragons, but they don't eat people either, but they are poisonous, I think.
Yeah,
I think they're poisonous. I've seen them at the zoo before, but
I've seen one in
um
person. Well, not like petting, but I've seen one. I've seen one like in, I think someone brought, maybe I'm getting it confused with an iguana. I think it was an iguana. I don't think it was a Komodo dragon.
no, Komodo dragons are
No,
big. Jarvis, they're big. They're
huge,
really big.
long.
Yeah, they're huge. They're huge lizards. You said you've been thinking a lot about elections and what if scenarios. What's been on your mind?
Midterms, baby. Midterms. Midterms all the way. I can care less about a presidential election in 2028 because we have to get through these midterms. It's just a lot of cheating going on. The Republicans, they are still trying to make it so where there's no Black representation in districts um, in these states, especially in the South, where there is a huge population of Black people. And um, this is where it's boiling down to is they want to get rid of Black representation. They want to make it so where Black people are going to um, they're not going to feel interested in participating in the voting election process. Like that's what it's coming to. They want to bank on them not turning out the way that they have been turning out because they're afraid in places like Georgia and other places, they're afraid they're going to get beat. That's just what it's all about. The Supreme Court said that is, that they just made it, they really just made it to where gerrymandering is is not much of a thing. They don't they really just did not want that. They just don't want it to happen, with it being in Black districts. So yeah, Republicans are just trying to cheat at this point on top of limiting mail-in ballots. And that's another thing that they want to focus on. But yeah, the midterms have been on my mind a lot because the polls can say one thing, but like on the last podcast, I said that polls don't matter, especially with what happened in 2024. I mean, it does not matter anymore. People just have to turn out and tune out of that noise that they see on TV and that they read on social media and, just do what they need to do so that we can, get this corrupted craziness out of our system.
Do you think that distrust is becoming normal?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Distrust is exactly. I totally 100%. I totally agree. It's one thing when we are, we are grown, we have grown into this, I can say this convention of participating in the electoral process. And yet they are doing everything. The government, not as a whole government, but just the government with Republicans, they're doing everything to disenfranchise voters. They're doing everything that they can to make it harder for us to exercise our First Amendment and to vote. Period. Is all about power. When politicians, when they tell people that yeah, you can trust me with your vote, no, I just don't believe it because it's one thing to tell a person that. I mean, it's pretty much snake oil that they're selling, and yet they're doing the exact opposite of what they tell these potential voters and these people. They poured so much energy, they pour their volunteerism, they pour in their money, their donations to support whoever they're voting for. And when they say stuff like that, it's really just it's retail selling, but it comes with such a price. But
You
yeah,
said
totally.
people have power through their voice. What does that mean to you?
So, power through voice is about exercising action and not just lip service, not saying, yeah, I'm going to go vote. Yeah, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do this. You have to put action. You have to put your, yeah, well, I'm going to put it this way. You have to put your money where your mouth is. Like that's the way I look at, um, that's the way I look at exercising that part. You people they have to be able to feel like they are part of a movement. They have to feel like they are part of something, and not just saying that I'm going to go do something. I'm going to go vote, and knowing well that they listen to just about anybody, and people can tell them anything, and it discourages them to do that, especially with young people. Young people, they are still they are still in that bracket where they say they say that they're going to vote, or they say things they complain about, but they don't actually do it. And that is just that's still a problem. That is still a problem. So yeah.
Have you ever felt powerless yourself?
um, just because I had never been in a situation where someone has taken my rights away. Well, actually, I'm not going to really say that part because I would then be lying to myself. Um, the Supreme Court, for example, I'm going to take the Supreme Court, for example. Um, when it comes down to stripping away parts of the Voting Rights Act and then trying to touch on marriage equality, I mean, look, I saw that coming a long time ago, trying to touch on it. They haven't said that they are going to do anything with that because of the fact that they were not going to hear Kim Davis, the one who was a Kentucky clerk that denied marriage
Right.
licenses to same
She's a
sex couples.
nut.
She is a nut that literally, she is, I mean, this is a woman. I'm not trying to like jump all over this topic, but she's the same person who I think she got married. I think she got married like three times or four times. And yet she's trying to deny marriage licenses to same sex couples that deserve the right to um, marry whoever they want to. Um, I feel powerless in a way that the Supreme Court will do something to jeopardize my rights. Um, that's the way I have to use that and believe that, yeah, if I do go and vote, then I can make a difference. But what good is it when other people
Right.
are not doing the exact same thing, that they complain about? So, yeah, in a way, I do feel powerless, but not to the point where I feel like all hope is lost. Not to that point. I'm not at that point yet. It's just me. I have to be vigilant, and I have to come to that conclusion that look, everything is for a reason.
What's a moment when you realized speaking up mattered?
The moment that speaking up mattered, the moment that speaking up mattered for me was when back in 2016. Back in
Mm,
2016,
mm-hmm.
that mattered. 2016 mattered. The reason I say that is because we were in a country where we had the first Black president who was in his second term of office. Um, Everybody was happy, everybody was content, and we had danger looming. The Democratic Party at that time was on the cusp of um they were just having their problems with Hillary Clinton, and the voters on the progressive side, they wanted Bernie Sanders. And when he came into the race and he was trying to tell the Democratic Party, when he was trying to be the face of the party, when he is an independent, he's not even a Democrat, he's an independent. When he was trying to tell voters what is good for the Democratic Party, what was good for the party, then I'm like, well, you're also cannibalizing our chances of having the first woman president. So I spoke up about um, I spoke up about that. I spoke up about the fact that, Bernie was cannibalizing into our chances of um, completing um, this whole system of progression, and unfortunately Donald Trump was running at the time, and we were on an uphill battle. We were on an uphill battle, and um we didn't know we didn't know what was going to happen. We did not know if this guy was for real about being president, or if he was doing something to make something for himself. And unfortunately, that's what happened. And so, yeah, speaking up about what Bernie was doing, and speaking up about what Democrats should have been doing, and speaking up about Donald Trump and everything, that's when it mattered. 2016 mattered a lot.
Some people would hear this and say one voice doesn't really change anything. What would you say to them?
Voice changes everything. Voice changes everything. And the reason why voice changes is because, like earlier, you have the right to exercise your First Amendment rights. Your voice is your power, as Kamala would say. Kamala Harris would say, your voice is your power. People that don't believe that their voice don't matter, that's a myth. That is what somebody who does not like to vote, that is what Republicans like. They like when people don't turn out, because low turnout equals Republicans, and they they write on that all day. And the voice does matter, because if you do be in that situation where you're on the cusp, okay, I'll take this for example. Okay, so when it comes down to marriage equality, when it comes down to interracial marriage, I know we're saying that in 2026, but it has to be said anyway. And then we're talking about reproductive um, access. And then we're talking about other things. So it's people, people have the right to exercise their voice of action. And that is what needs to be said. Don't believe in the government doesn't work for me. It's because you're saying and you're complaining about all these things, but you're not doing what you're supposed to do, you know? So yeah, yeah, that just needs to be said. Just take your word, just use your voice as your action. And don't believe in this whole myth that, people don't care about you as a citizen when you have that voice.
Can you think of one person, famous or not, who changed something just by speaking up?
So for me, it's Kamala Harris. It's Kamala Harris. I mean, look, I still miss her. I still miss Kamala Harris. I still miss her. Like um, she is the reason why I got excited in 2020 and 2024. She spoke up about a lot of things. She spoke up about price gouging. I mean, no other Democratic candidate before her was talking about price gouging. She was already on top of her game about that. And look what's going on in the country. Look at what is going on in the country. People are paying a lot for things that they paid for 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. And um, she was talking a little bit about, excuse me, she was talking a little bit about everything. Um, there's a lot of things that she was talking about, but yeah, she was really speaking up about,
Right.
um,
One of the things she had mentioned in her book that I really liked is that she spoke about predatory loans that
right.
target the poor. And that was something that I really resonated with.
Yes, I do agree. And um, she was,
I had not heard, up until that point, I had not heard a politician discuss that before, ever. I had never heard that been brought up by someone about these payday loans that charge exorbitant interest rates and target people in poverty who
it's
are
awful.
desperate and have no other choice. Often they can't get a credit card because they don't have good credit. And um, they should be illegal. They should be illegal. Um, but they're not. And
Yeah,
there's
I mean,
also the car title loans
yeah,
as well.
people they use leverage against low income people. If you're not rich, if you don't have millions of dollars, then the best way they can rip off a customer or a consumer is to um, punish them because they don't make a lot of money or because they don't have the best credit. And um, it's really just to put it's really just to punish. It's really just to punish people that are the have-nots. That's really all it is. That's really what this system is. This whole system is all about punishing people for not, in their frame of mindset, successful. I'm talking about going to college and earning a degree and making uh, millions of dollars and being on the board, to become a CEO. That's it's awful. I mean, that's the way the system is. That's the way the system is in this country. Whether or
You
not people
s
agree with that, that is exactly what this country is. It's just nothing but pure greed, punishing the low income, punishing people that don't have it. Um, that's just the way it is around here.
you said something interesting in the pre-interview that people are afraid to call things out and are too worried about being politically correct. What does telling it like it is actually mean to you?
Telling it like it is means to just be yourself. It be yourself. The very moment that you try to be other people that expect you to be somebody, then that's when you become inauthentic. Um, and when you do certain things, so when when they grow up, when they become teenagers have this, they go through a phase of being around people that they can conform to. They conform to a group of people. Group of people expect that person. It could be a shy person, it can be a person who's not outgoing, and they expect them to conform to things that they do, like smoking and alcohol and dressing sexy and whatever. the very moment that phase is around, then people like that, they behave differently. And so they're going to say things. They're going to be a little bit more boisterous with what with what they do because they are around that certain person. So from the adult perspective, the very moment that you don't really tell it like it is, and you're keeping it grounded as if you are going to get called out for something that you believe in, um, that's when it becomes a little bit of an issue because then you don't really have you can't formulate, you cannot, you don't have your own opinion. And opinions, everybody's not going to agree with everything. That's just the way the world is. The world has been like that for a long time. People are not going to always agree with you on something, but what is important is to be respectful. What is important is to respect someone's boundaries. And I know that's kind of hard because of the political climate that we're in. It is, Henry, it is hard because when I talk about you have to respect people's opinions, then somebody listening to this podcast might want to think, okay, well, so what happens when you start bashing Republicans? So this is not one of those instances where um, I'm talking about you have to be hateful, you have to be spiteful, you have to dog somebody out because um, they don't believe in the same things as you do. Being hateful and having an opinion that is based around, um, I guess, being positive. I guess in a way that's kind of vague. It's kind of touchy, but like I said, if you don't really speak up for yourself, and if if you just don't do that, like if you don't do that, then you're not really trying to you're trying to you're trying to make someone, you're trying to think of what other people would think of you. Um,
Do you
like I
think
said,
people
it's real
self
touchy.
censor more now?
Online, yes. Actually, you know what? Take that back. Reason I say that because if you go on social media, go on X, there are a lot of people. There are a lot of people behind those keyboards, behind the phone, that they are unfiltered. They are unfiltered. They don't self-censor on social media. I don't think self-censoring on social media is not much of a thing. The only people that censor you are people that run the social media. People can go on social media all day and post whatever they want, and they're not going to think twice about it until somebody gets their picture or someone looks at their videos. And you've seen stories where people have um, they have reported people to their employers because they say certain things or they do certain things. So no, self-censoring on social media is not a thing. The only way that people self-censor themselves is when they are out in public because they are facing people, they are interacting with people person to person. They're not going to say as much hateful things. They are not going to they're
Right.
going to be more they're going to be more constricted into saying things because they are facing people in public. When they are on social media, it is a totally different thing. It's like day and night, and you wouldn't even know. That same person that you call that you have been friends with the last 5 or 6 years, that person was your bestie, saying that they are cool with you, being who you are, loving who you want to love. But then their political shows up. Their political bias shows up. And that's That's really something. That's a very dangerous weapon. It's dangerous.
And
I
have
have
you
been around
ever
people like that.
said something real that people didn't want to hear?
Um,
You don't have to give an example.
I can't say that people have said something that they didn't want other people to hear because I feel like that person would already have known me by now if someone in a group said something to me that they then, would not want to hear. Look, people are going to like me for who I am. They If they didn't like me the first time, considering my personality, considering what I talk about, considering the way I carry myself, if they didn't like me then, they don't have to fake around me. And they don't have to act surprised when someone says something to make them feel like, oh, yeah, I do this. Look, if they didn't know me now, well, they must be having their eyes closed. They must be dreaming about some things. Like, I'm just being for real about that. Like, people like that, the people that they instigate that kind of conversation are the ones that are the problem makers. They're the ones that don't want to really have much to do with someone who is, they just don't want to have really a lot to do with people. They just want to be self-centered. They want to be that party of attention. So yeah, people didn't know
Have
me
you
by
ever
now.
changed your mind after someone challenged your opinion?
Um, you know what? I'm gonna be really honest with you. So a long time ago, and we have had conversations about this, about with healthcare, for example. I evolved on healthcare. Actually, I did. I have evolved. I had a conversation with one of my former coworkers, and he was a moderate independent. We didn't really talk. Well, we talked a little bit about politics. So when I was telling him, excuse me, when I was telling him about the way I looked at the healthcare industry and looked at the healthcare system, so the centrist part of me 10 years ago was like, he he challenged me on healthcare. And so when I was telling him that people can keep their provider, they can keep their provider. Well, in other words, he was like, so that people, do you believe that the government should have the right to, um, do you believe in healthcare for all? And I said, well, I believe that everybody should have healthcare. And he was like, you know what? You made my point. You made my valid point. You're not saying that, um, you're not saying that people, um, okay, so let me back. Okay, so let me backtrack on this one. I know I'm going all over the place with this topic. So, like I said, the centrist part of me was that people should not have to be funding a system to where healthcare is for free, because I didn't believe in free healthcare. I just didn't believe in that because our money goes to all these different programs. So why is it that our taxes have to fund for free healthcare, right? So he was like, okay, so you're talking about, you want people to have healthcare, but then you don't want people to have access to um, these to a program to where they should not have to kind of pocket to do all these, to go to the doctor and all these different things, and they should have to have their own health insurance when people are paying so much out of pocket monthly. And so he challenged me on that. And so I was like, you know what? I believe that healthcare is a right for everybody, because if they can spend a lot of money on funding supplies to Israel, for example. If they really can do all of that, then why can we not have a system in this country where at the end of the day, people are going to um, they're going to get their medicine. They don't have to pay a lot out, for that. And you mentioned it quite a lot. You have, um,
Oh, I
you're
have
paying.
incredible health insurance right now. I
Yes.
don't know how I got it. It's
Yes.
basically like universal health care. It's insane. My health insurance is great. Um, I don't know how I qualified. I qualified for a good tax credit this year, and last year I didn't have health insurance because I didn't qualify for a tax credit, and I couldn't afford the cheapest plan that they offered. So
I'm happy
this
that you
year,
have.
through the marketplace, I got an amazing plan.
I'm happy for you. I've been keeping my fingers crossed that you would actually have a healthcare that actually, I mean, insurance that actually would take care of you and not, you have to pay so much out of pocket, for just to be getting basic care. It's just this whole healthcare system is so flawed. It is just so flawed. It's
So, what advice would you give to someone who feels powerless?
keep fighting. Don't feel discouraged.
Yeah, don't give up.
And
That's what I would say. Just don't give up. You
yeah,
just
don't give
can't
up at
give
all.
up. As a journalist, I never give up. I
Yeah, you keep
I just
pushing. You push every single day. Like you are resilient. You are
I
so
know.
resilient.
I just don't give up on anything. If I want something, I get it.
You keep chasing your dreams. That's what it's
Hmm.
all about.
Finish this sentence. Right now, the world needs more people who,
Are confident, who exercise their right to vote and feel like things are going to be okay after things are done.
good. And what's one thing you changed your mind about in life? Well, you mentioned healthcare. Is there anything else?
Minimum wage. I
Oh,
changed my mind about
wow.
minimum wage too. Henry, I
Okay.
was a centrist. I was a centrist 10 years ago. I was in the center. I was in the center. I'm more leaning towards the left. I'm not a leftist or anything like that, but Henry, it's everything. What Donald Trump and the Republicans, they have exploited a lot of cracks in this country. This thunderstorm. I don't know if you heard that. But yeah. Um,
Oh no, I didn't hear it, but hopefully
oh,
the power
cool.
doesn't go out or anything.
Well, I hope not. But yeah, yeah, I changed my minimum wage. I feel like, just the companies right now, they're not paying people enough. Businesses don't pay people enough, and people are still having to scrap by getting paid 7.25 an hour, 7.50 an hour. Um, and they're not making a lot of money. And the economy, their paychecks are not catching up with um the basic needs of what they're not it's not catching up with anything. They're having to pay so much out of pocket. They're having to pay so much for groceries and gas and then phones, all these different things. They don't have any money. They don't have any money. Like 10 years ago, I was vouching for minimum wage to at least be $12 an hour. The Bernie method was for um, minimum wage to be at $15 an hour. And then you had progressives that were wanting minimum wage to be a lot more. So fast forward 10 years later, well, other businesses, most businesses now have minimum wage that are over $15 an hour. So it's working. It's just that people are paying so much for everything now. And so Republicans at that time, they were like, well, if you raise the minimum wage, then everything's going to go up. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It's that is the way that they want to control this whole narrative that if you pay people more money, then inflation gets worse. And it is not like that. It's the businesses, it's the people, the companies are the ones that are setting these prices, not people. So yeah, I was blindsided, by minimum wage. I was blindsided. I was on the center on everything. And yeah, I see things different now than I did 10 years ago from healthcare to minimum wage. I mean, this system has to change. Got to be
So
for everybody.
let's get to some news. So Ken Paxton defeated four-term Senator John Cornyn in the Texas GOP runoff. The victory sets up a November showdown between Paxton and Democrat James Tallarico as Republicans push for party unity heading into the general election. Um, I think this is, I don't know if this is great news for Democrats. It's horrible news for the country if Paxton becomes our senator here, but it's also kind of good news for James Tallarico.
Yeah. So James Tallarico's in a roll. Ken Paxton, I have read about that man. Y'all should have got rid of him a long time ago. Um, not
He was
only is
impeached by
he
his
was
own
impeached,
party, by
and
his
they
own
brought him
party.
back. They
Yeah.
brought the man back. They brought the man back from being impeached. That's something that that's something that MAGA would do for Trump. He gets impeached, and then there'll be a reason why he will want to run again. But thankfully, the Constitution, um, thankfully, the Constitution acknowledges that if if you get impeached, then you can't run. You can't run again. So thankfully, that's that. Um, so yeah, Ken Paxton, he is awful. Like he has been accused of bribery. He was indicted for fraud. He was impeached by his own party. They brought him back, and then his wife divorced him because of I guess with his I guess scandalous affair. Whatever. It's I just don't get why they would want him. I really just don't. But on the flip side, James Tallarico he has an opportunity to do something that has not been done in a long time, which is to flip voters. He has that opportunity. I'm hoping that he actually has the ability to pull it off. But it's going to have to come down to Texas voters. At the end of the day, it's going to have to come down to those Texas voters to make that change. Because, like I said, Ken Paxton, he cannot do this. He cannot win in your state because then that'll be a leg up in the Senate if he does win again. And I heard that he was calling James Tallarico names. Um, he was calling him I'm not, yeah, Telefrico. And he's embracing it. He's embracing
Right.
that name.
It's
Yeah,
hilarious. I mean,
yeah,
come
good for
on.
him. Good for
It's so
James.
funny. So James Tallarico is selling shirts now that say I'm a Talafrico on them. After Ken Paxton called him James Talafrico. Um, Republicans seek to highlight James Tallarico's record on transgender issues, immigration, and other progressive causes ahead of November's U.S. Senate election. The lawmakers' campaign is embracing one of the nicknames those positions have earned him. The Tallarico campaign recently began selling merchandise bearing the phrase "I'm a Talafrico" in reference to a nickname used by Republican nominee Ken Paxton during his runoff victory speech. He goes by a few names that you may all have heard of, Paxton told supporters. Some people know him as Tofu Tallarico. Some people call him Six Gender Jimmy. I've even heard some people call him James Talafrico. Paxton then explained the reasoning behind the nickname, pointing to Tallarico's positions on immigration and transgender issues. He wants open borders and even said a welcome mat should be at our southern borders, said Paxton. He's a threat to our children. He wants boys and girls sports, mutilation surgery performed on kids, etc.
They will do
Paxton
anything.
also referenced a comment from Tallarico in which the Democrat said trans kids were among the things he loved the most outside his family and friend. Now the campaign's online store features apparel prominently displaying the nickname, which is really funny. And the decision echoes a similar episode from 2018 when the Texas Democrat Party briefly sold merchandise celebrating itself as the pot smoking lesbian coalition after the phrase was used by Governor Greg Abbott, advisor Dave Carney to describe the party. However, the merchandise at that time was quickly pulled.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they can call him all these kind of different names, but they are still corrupt. They are filthy. They are scumbags. And the moment the what they're trying to write on, what they're really trying to do is they're trying to make him into this. In other words, this leftist whack job, that is going to um, that is going to
Yes, I'm sorry, guys.
I'm sorry.
Friends, I mean, Jarvis received a phone call. Protest over cruel conditions at New Jersey ICE facility draw counter protests and a curfew is the next topic.
Yes. Yes, you're talking about um, the ICE, about people protesting outside Delaney Hall.
Yes, supporters of immigrant detainees gathered outside Delaney Hall in Newark, opposite pro-ICE demonstrators as state and local authorities sought to avoid escalation. Um, Tensions rose at a Newark, New Jersey immigration detention center on Saturday as a group of pro-ICE protesters faced off with demonstrators who have maintained a presence outside the facility for more than a week in support of detainees who they say are enduring inhumane conditions inside. So I just wanted to mention this because it's crazy. They had to put a 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew in place until further notice in Newark. And I think it's great that people are protesting, but I hope that they're doing so legally.
Yeah, so about that topic, I did read a little bit about what they were doing. So ISIS, they really want as much distraction as they want to. They want to put this, they want to keep this kind of um, thing going. They want people to protest as much just so they can create chaos. And there were some people that were arrested, but then those people, they weren't even in New Jersey. Like these were people out of state. Yeah, these were people out of state. So these were people that Governor Mikey Sherrill said that they were, probably out there to cause some trouble. But yeah, the people that were out there protesting on that end, they just want people like they want they want the they want these detainees to be seen. Um, they want them to get out, of that facility because, like I said, I'm pretty sure that they are. being there's no telling how they are being treated. It's I heard that it was it's inhumane, and just the fact that they are. I mean, they're going through all of that, unfortunately, and it's. I just hope that they get some kind of answer for that. I really hope that something is being done. But yeah, this is what ICE is doing. I mean, they're making people protest, and it's not going to be the first time that they're having these states. They're going to be doing it in different states. They're going to be doing it in these blue states. It's not happening in red states.
Right.
It's happening in these blue states.
It's I think it's great that people are protesting what ICE is doing, because I think that ICE is tearing apart families. They're
They are.
kidnapping people, and they are treating them like the Gestapo.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's just so awful, that, ICE at one point, there was no funding for, them to do all of this. And now since they're getting funding again from the government, they're allowed to do all of this. They're, they're going to keep doing it. I mean, as much as I can say that this is the reason why people have to vote in these midterms, because if we can get rid of the Republicans, and if Trump, like if we can just get through these midterms, and if people, if they can do what they need to do, then we can put an end to that. But it's going to have to take all of that to happen.
Right,
Unfortunately.
the governor said, for days we've heard reports of unsafe, inhumane, and unconstitutional conditions there at a news conference Friday. He mentioned they've seen increasing violence, arrest, and pepper spray at Delaney Hall, as well as public threats from the Trump administration. And we've seen the risk to public safety rising outside of Delaney Hall. It's a tense situation where they have protesters who are there to protect ICE, and then they also have protesters there who are against ICE, and they're facing off with each other, and it's a very tense and dangerous situation that's unfolding, and it's happening as we speak right now. Today is Sunday, as we were recording this Sunday afternoon in the United States. And I think that it's great that people are using their First Amendment rights.
Yes, and that's really important, because, and just like you said, that these are people that are clashing with these they're clashing with people that side with ICE, and there are people that are just there to demonstrate, to get they're there to see what is going on inside those facilities. And so without them getting firsthand about what is going on, it's just such an awful, it's really just such an awful, it's just such an awful mess. It's just so awful. Like there really is just no telling what is going, there is just no telling what is happening in that facility. They could be sexually abused. They could be, they could be assaulted. There really is just no telling. That's the reason why it is important for the governor and for representatives to go inside, because at the end of the day, I mean, at the end of the day, they are elected representatives, and they are elected officials, and they have the right to go into those facilities to see how how the people are being treated. And it's going on 10 days now, and nothing is moving. 10 days.
So this next story, I think this is hilarious. Trump suggests canceling music performances at the Great American State Fair after several artists back out. 5 artists have declined to perform at the event celebrating the United States 250th birthday, saying they didn't know it was political in nature. I think this is so funny. It's just another example of Trump losing. So I love that. I love to see that. President Donald Trump on Saturday suggested canceling planned musical performances at the Great American State Fair in Washington this summer after several artists pulled out of the event. He also has said instead that he would like to have a Make America Great Again rally instead of the event celebrating our 250th birthday. It's just really funny. I was trying to find here the list of artists who declined to perform. See, shortly after the lineup was announced, Morris Day and the Time, Young MC, Martina McBride, the Commodores, and Bret Michaels each announced they were declining to participate, saying they did not know the event was political in nature. Freedom 250 has not announced replacement artists. Freedom 250 officials denied that the event would be political, with a spokesperson telling NBC News on Friday that the group is a nonpartisan organization singularly focused on celebrating America's 250th anniversary and bringing Americans together around this historic milestone. From the outset, our work has reflected the unifying spirit of this movement. It's interesting that it should be
Well, it's interesting. It's kind of funny though, because the fact that it's kind of funny though, because of the fact that these are artists that were randomly chosen to perform at this event. I mean, I'm pretty sure that they were chosen. I'm pretty sure maybe they didn't know that this was more of a Trump party than it is an American party. That's just the way I'm going to look at that. Because when I saw it the first time, I was like, why? Why would these artists, perform, at an American 250? America 250, like, why would they perform? And so when I looked at Kid Rock being there, well, Kid Rock, he's been performing, for Trump. He's been performing with him for years now. Like, there's nothing, that's really just that's no brainer right there. But the Commodores and Martina McBride and all these other artists, I just kind of find it funny. Like, he has no support. Like, he has.
I think it's so funny. Let's see who else backed out. No, I think that's all. And then the list of performers is kind of bizarre to me too. Like, where did they find
Flo
this?
Rida?
Yeah, like, where did they find Flo Rida? Like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Flo Rida, Milli Vanilli, Vanilla Ice.
Vanilli.
What
Jesus.
in the world? Like, where did they find these performers in the first place? Wow, Martina McBride looks great, by the way. I just saw a photo of her.
Oh, she does.
She looks incredible. How old is she? Can you look that up?
I think Martina McBride, she should be in her late 50s. She should be in her late 50s.
She looks great. Oh my God, she looks so good.
You know what? If Carrie Underwood, if she was part of the lineup, then I could see it as, okay, it could be, I'm not going to say it's legit, but it could be like, okay, whatever. But yeah,
I know
it's really sad.
It's very depressing to me that Carrie Underwood has become MAGA because I actually love her so much, but I
I didn't support
clearly
her music.
can't support her anymore. No.
Yeah, I didn't support her music back then. Like I supported her in American Idol when she was um the winner. When she was the winner, I supported her. Like I was wanting her to win. And um, when she became MAGA, it was just like, oh my God, you're one of those people. Like you're just one of those people. It's really just not. There really is just no surprise anymore. The people, either people's favorites or people that we supported, they're on the other side. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, but
it's
he's not. But he's not going to
sad.
have. He's not going to have anybody at his rally. And I don't know if you. I don't know if this was reiterated when you were talking about it, but he wanted to cancel the entire thing, and he wants to make it become
Right,
um,
a MAGA
a
event.
a MAGA rally.
Yeah.
It's all about him. It has never been about the America 250. He wants it to make it as a praise rally. You know what I'm saying? Like he wants people to praise him for all this work that he's done. In America 250, what worse way to celebrate that with that man in office? Like what worse way? Like it's not. I mean, it's just so it's like it was destined to happen. But he's not going to have any entertainers. He's going to only have Kid Rock, maybe Carrie Underwood might perform, and no one's going to watch that. No one's going to watch any of that. I would think that the
No,
viewership is going to be very low on that
ratings.
if it becomes
Yeah, bad ratings.
Blow Rider. I mean, were they even? But yeah, they said that it was. They said that they weren't being told that it was a political event, but they were still chosen to perform. So I'm just kind of wondering, if all of them had a heads up months ahead, if they were, I mean, if they were selected to perform America 250, that's still at the White House. Know what I'm saying? Like it's still on the national, it's still in Washington, D.C. It's still there. So it kind of makes me question
Hmm.
um, how much knowledge did they had before they would have thought that the fans would turn on them because they would be performing for this guy. They could
All
be, I
right.
mean, some,
And I was gonna move on to the next story if that's okay.
yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
Um, ICE selling mega warehouses purchased for mass detention. The agency is also considering selling several planes ICE purchased for deportations under former Secretary Kristi Noem, but no decisions have been made. What is this all about? So they're looking to sell. Why are they going to sell these detention centers? Do they not have enough immigrants to detain? I don't, I'm confused.
So when Chrissy Noam, when she was Homeland Security, I'm trying to just get these people right here. So when she was Homeland Security, she had bought these warehouses, for ICE to detain and keep, for ICE to detain to keep them in those warehouses, like they were going to be turned into detention camps. And so when she was, I guess when she was fired, by the administration, and then when the new guy, Kevin, I think his name is Kevin Markwayne. I think this is Kevin Markwayne. Well, since he has now taken over, then they want to put like a fresh look on things. Like they don't want to make this into a bigger story with them um, keeping those detainees, keeping people or just keeping ones that they are out kidnapping and keeping. So, and there's been a lot of pushback in communities, even in red states. There was a lot of pushback with um, with these warehouses being bought, for detention centers. And so I'm wondering if this has more to do with the control part, the population control in those areas, or if this has anything to do with trying to erase all of the damage that she has caused. Because Trump said that he wants to soften this whole immigration thing. I mean, that was in the text. Like he wants to soften this whole immigration thing. So I'm thinking he's trying to turn his back on. I think he's trying to turn his back on his campaign promise because he knows that his poll numbers are crap, and he knows that the Republicans are going to be kicked out. Like he knows it's going to be do or die for him if he don't get if the Republicans don't get reelected. This is really all it is, just a for show right now. I don't think this is. I think this is all for show.
It's interesting, and it says that DHS officials said ICE no longer needs the capacity to hold 100,000 immigrants.
So why turn back now? Why say that now?
Strange after they,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
$38 billion purchasing all of these warehouses and airplanes.
Bought the warehouses, and yet you say, oh, we don't need those many people. No, they are getting pushed back. They're getting pushed back, and they know that their poll numbers are terrible. They know that people don't support this because the people were told that these were going to be criminals. Yeah, they were conned, but obviously people don't really read between the lines, so they're going to believe what they want to believe. But yeah, I think this is a whole show. I refuse to believe that this is anything legit. I just think they're using this as some kind of excuse to not make people talk about this whole issue. Because see, it was a whole issue middle of last year through, I want to say before the Iran war, it was a whole issue. So why now? Like, why say we don't need these many detainees? We don't need these many immigrants. And yet, you were talking about, we're going to hold 100,000 of these people in these detention camps, blah, blah, blah. It's a whole show, Henry. It's a whole trick pony.
And so you sent me the Democratic autopsy on the party about how we lost, how Dems and Kamala Harris lost the 2024 election. I thought this was really interesting. It lists reasons such as voter disenchantment, Biden's betrayal, abandoning the base, losing the working class, failing on Israel and Gaza, losing young and progressive voters, and a path forward. What did you think about this? Did you read it?
I did read it. I thought it was more detailed. It was more detailed than I thought it was going to be because, for months, back in 2024, people were like, Democrats were going to win and Kamala Harris was going to win. But you remember when Biden, when President Biden, when he had his town hall, not his town hall, it was like that the whole debate. And the Democrats, they were upset with President Biden. They were saying that he didn't perform well, that, he didn't really give out that knockout punch like he was supposed to. So they felt like he was too weak and that he was ineffective. And so that's what made the Democrats, not the voters, the congressional members, they were the ones that were calling on him to step down. And so mind you that President Biden was in a really good shape even at 81 years old. I'm trying to keep up with ages here now, so that's another part. But yeah, he was in a really good shape to beat Trump. And so when he stepped down, when he was forced to step down, everything changed. like everything changed. And I know a part of me was like, look, I love Kamala Harris. I love her as, our VP, but, is she going to be able to really pull this off? Because people are now upset that President Biden stepped down, from
Mm,
being real, for his reelection, and people are now kind of questioning whether she can pull it off. And so, yeah, people, I think it was a combination of voter apathy as well. I think people they were just not really having it, with what they were trying to do with Biden. And then another part is youth enthusiasm. Look, social media can be one thing. Social media can be like, yeah, I'm excited. Everybody was excited. Everybody was saying, that they couldn't wait to turn out. But at the end of the day, reality was setting in. Reality was setting in. Social media, I'm telling you, look, if people believed that they were going to do what they were going to do, social media would win all day. Social media would win all day, and it would determine the election. At the end of the day, young people just was not interested in voting. They felt like the Gaza issue was not much talked about, and they were still blaming the president. They were still blaming. Um, they were still trying to link Kamala Harris to
right. To
this whole thing
Israel.
with Israel,
Uh,
right?
yeah,
And
that
also,
that was
just
a big nail in the coffin. And as far as I'm concerned, I remember all the pro-Palestinian protests, which I thought were okay. But I think that it was for me as a gay person, knowing that LGBT rights are not recognized in Palestine. I have a hard
mm-hmm,
time
that is totally right.
reconciling that with supporting them. In the same vein, I also would like to say I don't support Israel either. I just don't feel like as a gay person I can go protest for Palestine. I think that's kind of what's the word for that? Not ironic, but
Um, Trying to think of the word myself. I want to say hypocritical.
yes, right.
Hypocritical.
Exactly.
Yes, hypocritical.
Yes.
Right. They support a region
Yes.
that doesn't
Exactly.
support,
It's
but yeah,
hypocritical.
exactly.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, global issues matter a lot more than domestic issues. So young people, um, see, this is how you know that young people will say something and they're not going to act on it. They said it back in 2016. Well, actually, they acted on it. They said they were not going to vote for Hillary Clinton back in 2016. They acted on it. They said that they were going to support Kamala Harris in 2024. Well, they didn't really act on it because um, Gaza became their issue. Even though Kamala Harris kept saying that she supported a ceasefire, she said it every time in her rallies, and every single time that just because she wasn't just because she wasn't boisterous enough about it, then they held her feet to the fire. This was not Kamala Harris's fault, by the way. This is not her fault of why she lost. The reason why she lost is because people, President Biden had voters. So President Biden, um, he had people that turned out for him in 2020. They expected the same thing in 2024. They didn't want to see him step down. And I guess in a way that voters, they felt like they had no choice, but to support the vice president. And I just don't think that Biden voters, I just don't think they really turned out. I think they felt that if we, if we, I'm sorry, I had something in my mouth. But yeah, I felt like they were just saying to themselves, well, we survived COVID. We survived the first Trump administration. What would the second? I mean, it can't be any worse. That's how they were feeling. That's being selfish. I think their selfishness is what caused this to happen.
Right. It also says that with millions of Americans already disenchanted and desperate due to inflation, the Harris campaign lost this essential Democratic base by focusing on courting Republicans, towing to corporate donors' interests and failing to confront the role of corporate greed and escalating inflation.
I just don't agree with that. I don't agree with that last one. I don't agree with that. I'm going to make a pushback on that, because even though that she was trying to court moderates, she wasn't trying to go after Republicans. Republican voters were the ones that were coming to her because they could not stomach voting for Trump the second or third time. When Liz Cheney, when she endorsed her, when Liz Cheney endorsed her, Kamala wasn't trying to say that Democrats don't matter, Republicans matter. Republicans, if I can get as many Republican voters to vote for me, then I'll win. She was trying to get moderate voters who would then probably have had a chance to sit out the election. So she wasn't trying to court Republicans at all. And that whole last thing about, that she was trying to chase after top donors, that was not true at all. I mean, look, there were millions and millions and millions of dollars that small, okay, so I don't know if you remember this. I'm pretty sure you do. So there were a lot of Zoom calls. Did you remember that when she when she accepted being the nominee, and there were so many Zoom calls, and there were millions of dollars raised on her behalf because of a lot of these groups.
Right. I do remember those Zoom calls. Yes, I participated in one of them. I do remember that.
Yeah, there were just millions of dollars that were pumped into her campaign. So for them to think that she was chasing top owners, I'm like, what are y'all talking about? Like, this is exactly, you're trying to link her to, so you're trying to do this whole 2016 with her on this one, trying to lie on her, pretty much trying to lie on her record, saying that she was being top donor. She's not chasing $100,000. She was not chasing for millionaires. That was the opposite of what she was doing. That was the total opposite of what she was. She wasn't chasing after them. It was just that she had a lot of people that donated to her campaign because of this whole grassroots movement. That's all that was. So I don't know where you're getting that from. I just think that is so. That's Hillary stuff. That's trying to beat a woman down. Like, it's just, it's sad what women have to go through. Just be recognized.
I agree. I think sexism and racism also played a huge role, which aren't even mentioned in this autopsy.
Exactly.
But I think they played a huge role. Well, I think we'll wrap it up for today on that note. That's going to do it for today's episode. Huge thanks to Jarvis for coming on and having an honest conversation with us. If something from this episode resonated with you, or if you've got thoughts, questions, or guest ideas, I'd love to hear from you. You can reach me on Instagram at Henry Hudson Hour, or by email at henryhudsonhour@gmail.com. Also, a special shout out to John Bartman for the music featured in this episode. And stay tuned, y'all. We're booked with some really exciting guests throughout June. So there are a lot of great conversations coming your way. Thanks for listening. Take care of yourselves. Keep using your voice. And I'll see you in the next episode. Okay, Jarvis, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Okay, and thank you for having me. And I will see y'all next time.
Alrighty. Have a wonderful evening, Jarvis.
Okay, you too. I'm going to go do my workout and try to brave out of this thunderstorm.
I've got to make some phone calls, so. Alrighty. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.